Have you ever experienced something so crippling in your life that has made you feel broken? I have. Are you someone who has a giving heart but is struggling to feel good themselves? Are you consistently putting your needs aside to take care of everyone else? If so, you're not alone. Giving starts with giving to yourself so that you are able to give of yourself to other people. Isn't it time you took back control and discovered what makes you tick? Join me in my journey and find out how you can feel better about yourself, live your best life, and share that with others. Thinking of yourself, it doesn't make you selfish, it makes you brave. I'm Nelia, and this is the Giving Starts With You podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Giving Starts With You podcast. I'm your host, Nelia Hutt. Thank you again for coming and joining another beautiful heart-centered guest. And I know that we're going to have a fantastic conversation today. So I wanted to welcome Michelle Kuei. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Nelia.
Thank you. And you're in LA. So thank you for joining me today and agreeing to come on the show. So I am excited. I want to tell you guys a little bit more about Michelle. So Michelle Kuei is an international speaker, certified visibility coach, and author who empowers women in building the skill set of resiliency to overcome tragedy, bounce back, and find purpose in every challenge. She is the founder of Elevate Life Coaching and the author of the memoir Perfectly Normal. I'm just so excited. My heart's like pumping. An immigrant story of making it in America, an inspirational journey of overcoming adversity after an automobile accident that changed her life trajectory. Michelle was born in Taiwan and grew up in New York, but today she lives in Los Angeles with her orange short-haired cat named Toby, who is working his way to take over the social media publicity. I love this and love Toby already.
Toby is napping right now, but if had he heard you, he would probably jump onto the camera right now.
Oh, that's so great. Pets are so they're more than just pets. They're part of the family, you know? I love that.
I really don't see them as pet. I see them like my fur baby, you know?
Yeah,
they're like
exactly.
part of the family. And I really empathize with people who have lost their pet because, you know, I myself have lost one last year. Oh. And it was just so devastating. It's like losing a really important part of your family. So those of you who have lost your pet in the past or who are currently experiencing, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, absolutely. It's just like another individual of the family, like another piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah. They bring so much joy. That's another thing.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michelle, I am so excited for today. I know we're going to be talking about a few different things. One of the things we're going to be discussing is resiliency. And I want to start and just introduce you to the audience and introduce you to the listeners. I think that your story is really going to help a lot of people out there. And that is one of the main reasons I had I invited you to come on the show. We all have things in life that sometimes feel like they're going to break us. And how do we get through that, and survive and succeed and just become more resilient in our lives? So yes, tell us how this all started. Did you lose me?
Yeah. I think I lost you for a minute. The connection wasn't 100%. You know, the universe must have heard that we're talking about something that's really, it was challenging and difficult for us to go through. So I think my journey really began when I was 11 years old. And when I was 11, I was coming out from school one day. And as I was crossing the street, there was a car coming out of nowhere that hit me. And that completely changed the way that I would live my life moving forward. Growing up, it's always been very usual. Nothing stood out. I was very typical, ordinary kid. But little did I know, there's nothing ordinary about life, ordinary about the way that I was going to live. So that car accident really changed the way that I perceive life and seeing life, and also the way that I live life. The car accident causes a permanent damage. So I am physically disabled, and I've always been disabled since the day of the accident. I was able to get out of the wheelchair, and I'm walking with crutches. But in terms of my height, I'm only 4 feet 4 inches tall. And I spent 4 years going in and out of hospital, doing a lot of repair surgery. By the time I reached to when I was 15, my doctor had to release me because my family got the permission to come to America. And so right before I left the hospital, the doctor had given me a pair of, the crutches as well as a metal brace to wear. And it has really ugly metal braces, basically two metal plate connected to a shoes that was open toe, looks like a military shoe. It doesn't pair with anything at all. And so there's a lot of judgment in terms of how do I look? And there's no way for me to compare to all these other girls who's in school. They're all dressing up in mini skirt, looking all pretty. They're talking about going out on dates, the boys that they like in school. I couldn't be part of that conversation at all because I don't have anything to share. I don't look pretty at all, at least in my eyes. I didn't look pretty. I look strange. I look weird. And coming to America, it was another added, almost like another icing on the cake, because I didn't speak English. So I couldn't communicate with people that, this is how I was feeling. And even if I were, I always get that look of, can you speak a little faster? Did you pronounce it right? So subconsciously, I was judging myself on all the pronunciation. So I start to hang out in like people who speak my language a lot. And that wasn't helping in learning English. I didn't really want to push myself that far to go and explore and learning how to speak. So that took a while. Before you know it, I started taking regular English class, and I actually walked myself into the counselor's office and I said, listen, I am ready to get out of English as second language class. I need you to put me into regular English class because this is what I believe I can do. And I remember the counselor was fighting back with me because he believed that, I was not ready. So he wanted to keep me in the ESL for another year or two until I'm ready. I'm like, hell no, I am not going to leave your office until you sign the paper, put me into the regular English class. So I was really adamant about what I wanted, and I was ready for it. And that was back in high school.
That's great. Good for you. Good for you.
So I think, even nowadays, I'm still very conscious about the way that I pronounce. And sometimes people would pause. Maybe they didn't hear me the first time. And I had that impression that, oh, maybe I pronounced something different. Maybe it's something about me. So I'm constantly thinking about what is wrong with me rather than thinking just, without any label. It is what it is. People just didn't hear me. Just repeat yourself. That's all.
It's funny how we automatically go to the negative, right? Like we automatically think it's us and there must be something wrong with us. Like I can understand you perfectly. Like just like any other English speaking person. But good for you for standing up for yourself, because that's a lot of change. Yeah. You're 11, you get into this life-changing accident. You've had to learn how to do all these things differently, and believe in yourself as equal as everybody else, right? Yeah. So which you are. And then to be moving into, America, and then to go into the language barrier. So it's one thing after another, for sure. And when you're a teenager, you already have so many changes and questions, and just any teenager. So yeah, you had a lot. Yeah. And
I think the society that we live in, or the culture that we live in, it's not helping at all, because there's a lot of interpersonal relationship, like there's interaction with friends and the people around me. Sometimes that also created a lot of this belief that we're somehow acting differently and therefore we're not normal. So there's a lot of self-criticism and self-judgment around the idea of we need to be like certain way, look certain way, and speak elegantly in order to be accepted into the culture, in order to be accepted into a circle of friends. And I remember as I was in my college year, I remember I was walking on the street one day, and then there was a woman from the opposite side of the street, and she ran across the street, and she was tapping on my shoulder, and she asked me, "What's wrong with me?" Like, she would just hit my face, and she goes, "What's wrong with you?" And so, conversation like that, it doesn't help for someone who's already carrying a lot of negativity and thinking that, oh yeah, maybe there is something wrong with me. So there's that judgment, and I started to withdraw myself from participating in any further conversation because something must be wrong with me.
And sometimes we don't think there's anything wrong until somebody points it out.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a poor choice of language. Maybe she could have said, because sometimes in having conversations with people, I realize that if they do have a disability, or they feel something is, not 100%, whatever the person feels in their life, they would rather somebody ask than just stare at them. So it's okay sometimes, I think. I don't know if you agree, but it's okay to ask, but watch the way that you ask, watch the language that you use, because the way that she asked you was not a positive thing. Like, it just, yeah.
I think most people don't have the language on how to engage and being curious. And sometimes we all have that curiosity. When I see something strange and something different, or something that I feel like inspired to, then I want to know more about it, right? Whether it's negative or positive, I want to know more about it. So I think majority of us, in the society, that we don't have the language to express, and it has to do with how we express ourselves in front of others, and how do we interact with them, so that we are not creating a lot of judgment. And there's a judgment piece versus a discernment, because they're very different, right? I can be assertive and discern, but without having this judgment pressing up against people. So the same way that I would be curious about someone who's looking different, or someone might have a disability, I would just acknowledge that person first. Hey, it must be hard, but I'm curious what happened. And so it's not the way that, it's not how we say, it's not what we say, it's how we say it.
Yes. And sometimes I think it can be a combination, maybe sometimes of both. And you don't have to answer the question, but at least you're not walking away feeling worse or feeling something negative about yourself you didn't feel before that interaction, right?
Yeah, it's such a big lesson to learn how to express ourselves, as well as how do we express ourselves without offending others. And I think it's a big lesson, and especially nowadays, there's a lot of we're fighting against each existence. It almost feels like that, So have a little respect and empathy. I think the key word here would be empathy, like having a little empathy for people who are going through some challenging time. It's very challenging time for a lot of us. And having that empathy, that you don't have to experience the same issue, you don't have to be disabled in order to understand how inconvenient that could be. But having that empathy will get you to start thinking about, what would it feel like if I'm sitting in the wheelchair and having to reach the shelf? What it feels like if I have to sit in the wheelchair and opening that door? And now, can you use that empathy to do something for the person who's behind you, sitting on a wheelchair? Can you open the door for them so that it makes it easier for that one person? And what do you get out of it, right? Because a lot of us will focus on what's in it for me. And I think the society nowadays, it's a lot of us, we focus on what's in it for me. We think about, oh, why would I want to do that? Well, there's a number of reasons why you want to do that. You get enjoyment, you get fulfillment, you get purpose, you have an extra new friend that you just met just by opening up the door. This is what you get.
Yes. And your heart feels fuller. You get to know yourself better. There's just so many things, so many things. And it's not that, people with disabilities, they are still as capable as everybody else. They just have to find a new way to do something. It doesn't mean, and if you don't have a disability, we still have to find new ways to do things because we're not all the same. So it's not really that different, like, I don't know why we're still all the same people. We still can do all the same things, just differently. And I think we need to be more curious is a good word, and be more compassionate and more empathetic, for sure. Absolutely. Because honestly, I've been researching you a little bit, and some of the things that you have done are just fantastic. And I know a lot of people that people label as not having disabilities, and nowhere near that, including me. So it's not something, that we should judge or put labels on. I think that's so ignorant. People don't know. So yeah. And now that we're talking about it, I have to mention it to the audience in case they don't already know. But I saw this amazing video of you climbing Machu Picchu. And there were some other videos too. Do you want to tell us what that experience was like for you?
Oh my gosh, it was horrible. I'm just kidding. It was terrible in the sense that it was 4-day hike. So I hiked Inca Trail for a total of 26 miles. I think if we were to translate kilometer, I think it's something 40 kilometer or something. It's long. Let's just put it that way. It's long.
And it's uphill.
Everything uphill, and the highest altitude is at 14,000 above sea level. Wow. 14,000 feet above sea level. So that's about 3,000 kilometer, right? I think the altitude is kilometer. I can never get the matrix right. So anyway, I hiked it in September 2016. It was a 4-day hike. And I remember I flew myself to Peru by myself with 2 luggage and 2 crutches. And I was determined because I was at a point of my life where I don't want to continue to live and feeling sorry for myself. I want to do something different. And that something different, most people would just go to the gym and just work out. We're fine with it. But no, my version of wanting to be something different is I want to be able to participate in the conversation with my friends who just came back from Machu Picchu. I want to be part of their conversation. That sense of belonging was really important for me. So I decided to do the same, and having preparation, a mental preparation that I might die up there. So I booked myself a 4-day trip. I hire an extra guy who can walk with me just to make sure that I didn't fall off the cliff and disappear from the earth. So I was walking with a guide, and each day we hike about 10 hours, and it's all upward. There's a lot of stairs. And the height of the stairs, some of the stairs are really high. And so just to give the audience a visual, I am 4 feet 4 inches tall. Some of the steps are as big as my leg. So it's as big, as tall as my leg. So the way that I would need to climb up the stair is I would have to put my crutches down, got on my knees and hands, climb up, pick up my crutches, and repeat the whole process again and again. So there are a couple of steps that's like that. And some of the steps are really narrow. So there's no way for me to land my crutches. So in order to safely climb up, and some of the angles are really steep. On my last day, I think the video that you have saw, it's my last day. They called it the OMG step. And it's like you looking down and looking up. It's like, oh my God, OMG step.
It looked terrifying for me. I don't know, 10 hours a day.
10 hours.
I don't think I could walk 10 hours. Like, I know I couldn't walk 10 hours a day, never mind going uphill, and never mind with all the stuff that you had to worry about too, right? And the scary, anyway, how did it feel when you got to the top after all the pain?
I was so hungry. I was so hungry. I remember halfway at the stair, I told my tour leader, I said, hey, can we have 2 lunch today?
Really?
And, people are thinking you must have like really inspirational, like epiphany happening going on up there. No, I just want 2 hamburgers. And so it comes down to the fact that, no matter what's going on in our mind, what's going on ahead of us, no matter how big or painful it is, there's that moment that you just want to do something for yourself. Right? That's all you want. Just that one extra cozy blanket at night, or just that warm tea, a cup of tea, someone pass it to you. Just that one little tiny thing will get you to the finish line. That's all we were looking for. We're not looking for like a big, huge epiphany or something that's like really life-changing moment and say, you know what, I did it. No, it was like a hamburger. The hamburger would have done it.
I love that so much. That's the best. I love that. And tell me if I'm wrong, but if you think of just the end, you're missing out on the whole journey, right? So it's the journey that gets you, that you have to be tough with yourself and that you learn the most about yourself, right? Like when you want to give up, or when you want to like one more step, one more step. Because I think most people think, oh my God, like I asked you, instinctually, I asked you, what was it like when you were done? Instead, I should have asked you, how did you get yourself motivated to keep going? That's the question, right?
And see how I bypassed that whole question and I went straight to the experience, right? Because the experience is how I got there. The destination, we already know that I have finished the climb. We already know that I have gotten there. But the journey is what takes us to the destination. And it is, by the time I finished, it was like, oh, okay, that was it. What more can I do? And
Wow.
you start to thinking, want to do more. And I think that's really about the resiliency. Resiliency doesn't mean that you come off from a baseline and you stay at baseline. Resiliency means that you come from the baseline and you keep moving forward to elevate to your next level, to your next best self, right? So you learn all these skills from the journey that you have traveled, and these skills are going to be applied for the next level. You're not going to be the same person anymore as you're coming in. You're going to be a lot more better because you already have learned the skill on that journey. So I feel that it's not the destination that matter. It's the journey, the experience, that how you got here. That is what's going to count. And yes, it hurt like hell. It was hurting. Every moment, every step, it was a push-up, right? So because I was walking on both crutches. And so every moment it was, how much further? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I remember I keep asking my tour guide, are we there yet? And the guy kept lying to me. Yeah, 100 feet, 100 feet. And here I am. I'm like, I have totally no idea of what that translates, like how far it is. So I just kind of have to go with whatever he's telling me. 100 feet, got it. Okay, 100 feet comes. Are we there yet? No. Okay, let's just keep going, right? Because 100 feet is really getting me closer. So each steps, each 100 feet, you learn something new about yourself. You enjoy the conversation with the tour guide. I got to know him. I know his family. I know what ambitions and dream that he has. You start having this conversation along the journey, and there's always people passing me by, and they're all turning and giving me thumbs up. And what I have learned by the time I got to Machu Picchu is that it was that the fact that I can be an inspiration. My purpose is an inspiration.
Absolutely, you are.
And that's why I'm here. My purpose, and I remember getting on that journey because I was looking for that purpose. I was questioning myself, why am I here? Why do I exist? And so that journey led me to really understanding what my purpose is. And oftentimes I tell people that, my purpose is not just to give you an inspiration. My purpose is really to get you into the inspo action. It's the inspiration with the action piece.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. What are some of the things you would say to yourself when you're like, did you have moments where you were like, okay, I'm ready to quit, but I can't go back now? Like, what kind of things did you say to yourself because that guide sounds amazing. He sounded very encouraging, right? But what do you... Yeah, but I don't know. What kind of things were you faced with, like internally?
Internally, I would say in the beginning, it was, can I do this? I keep questioning myself. are you sure about this? Is this something that you want? Like, why would you even want to do this in the first place? What are you trying to prove? And so there was a lot of self-doubt and not knowing whether or not I can do this, whether or not I can actually finish it. Because 2 days before the hike, I actually came down with stomach flu. So
Oh,
I was living in, I got sent to the hospital, their clinic for a day, and they had to hook up some IV injection and to keep me hydrated and gave me some antiviral medication. And so that happened 2 days before. And I remember calling my sister and I said, hey, this is what's happening. I'm in the clinic. And I remember she was screaming over the phone, you need to come back here. What are you doing? You're going to kill yourself. There's no one who's going to take care of you over there. You need to come back. And there I was thinking, well, do I really want to do this? You know, what is this all about? But I decided that there's something else that was calling me. And sometimes we listen to that voice of negativity, but you know, other times that voice of inspiration, that voice is actually guiding us to do something that we had never thought about if we had listened to the true voice of wisdom. And that voice was telling me, you need to do this. And you're going to prove to yourself that you're capable of doing this, nothing else. That's just finish this. And so a lot of time I would tell myself, you can do this and we're going to finish this and we're going to go home. We're going to have a hot shower. We're going to have that hamburger. Yes. Don't worry about it. Your hand will heal. You're not going to break them. Don't worry about it. You know, if anything that's going to break, it's going to be your crutches and not your wrists. So just stick to it. Ask for hot water. So every night when I got to the campsite, that's what I would ask. I would ask bucket of hot water, soak my hand in there so that my wrist doesn't hurt the next day. So I just keep telling myself, just hang in there, keep going. There's a reason why you're doing this. Just trust the process. Just trust it.
And it's not like you're sleeping in this comfortable, you know, you're What were the sleeping quarters like? Was it comfortable enough that you could actually, you're probably so tired you just slept?
Yeah, pretty much. We camped out. So each one of us have a tent. Yes. We had about 10 people coming from all over the country that were all over the world that we met to be on this tour. And so there's 10 of us, and some of them came with their friends, family, or their spouse. I went alone. So I got one of those smaller tents, and I was, they set up the tent for me, and it's a hard, floor, hard floor. We're camping outside. We really toughed it out.
Can I ask why you wanted to do it alone?
I think I've always imagined myself being a loner. Because I think a lot of that self-judgment and that body shaming led me to believe that there's no one for me out there. You know how there's like people always say, oh, there's always someone out there for you. Don't worry about it. That significant others, you know, someone who loves you will show up. There's always that belief that I don't belong anywhere, and there's a deeper and bigger meaning for me. And that I am not supposed to find that person, and there is no such person for me. So I'm on my own. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm on my own because I was meant to be someone who's bigger.
Oh, and do you know now that you are enough?
Oh, more than enough. So I used to think that I'm this ordinary person. Now I think there's nothing ordinary about me. I'm this extraordinary. That's who I am. Yes. And there's a reason why I am extraordinary, because I have a message that I want to share with people. And that's what's extraordinary about it. It just had to be me going through that journey, having that car accident, going through all this life-changing and experience or negativity, because life has a deeper and bigger meaning and purpose for me. I wasn't meant to be playing small. I wasn't meant to be, belonging just to a family. I belong to a bigger place.
And now you're helping other people. right?
Yeah.
You're helping other people be courageous and finding their purpose and living more authentically and finding some resilience. And amazing. I love that. I love when people go through something and then they know what it feels like, so they want to help other people. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's not about me anymore.
Mm.
I feel like after going through that journey, it's not about me. Me, it's not important. I am not important. What I can do on this earth by sharing my message, that is my purpose. And it was a given purpose by universe want me to do something here using this vehicle. Sometimes I imagine this is just a vehicle, and the way that I talk, the reason why I'm speaking is because this is my mission, and the universe is using me as the vehicle to spread the message around, to spread the message across. And that's what I'm doing. It's not about gaining that publicity. It's not gaining the visibility. It's none of it.
That's for Toby. That's for Toby.
That's for Toby, yes. Exactly. That's for Toby. That's what Toby needs to do. But for me, my mission and my purpose is to help others so they can shine. And this is an analogy that I was sharing with one of my coach friends. And they say, oh my gosh, Michelle, you're such a star, you're a superstar. I said, you are a superstar too. And the reason why you're a superstar, let me tell you why. Because if you look at the galaxy, there are so many planets and all these little tiny stars. Each star does not shine by themselves. The star, they shine is because it's a reflection of another planet, another star, another universe, in the galaxy. That's why the star will shine. So the fact that each and every single one of us exists, we are stars. You and I are stars. Your shine, your star, your shiny is going to influence mine, and that's what makes me shine. And same thing with others. We're just a whole bunch of stars in this galaxy, and that's why we're here. We're helping each other shine.
I love that analogy so much because we don't do it alone. People who feel alone, it's been proven that they can't accomplish the same things, not because they're not capable, not because of any of those negative things, but we do need the support of other people. We need the community. We need to have each other. It's so important. That's one of the things that I talk about on my podcast is ending loneliness, because I find that if you feel alone in life, there's no movement. You cannot move forward because you just don't feel like you deserve love. Why aren't people wanting to embrace me? Why do I have to be alone? Is it because I'm unlovable, right? So I think it's so, so important that we all feel that, and that we all try to find things that make us, like sometimes people say, well, I'm a little bit shy. I don't want to join a group, or I don't want, but you can do things by helping other people. Like you're doing the coaching by helping other people and sharing your experiences. Anything that we do that can help others and not just help ourselves, you're including other people. So in that sense, you're already hopefully making them feel a little bit less lonely, right? So it's so important that you have that. I love that you're describing the shininess, because it's true. You reflect on each other. We all play a part in each other's lives, right? Like even meeting you today, like my word for 2022 is elevate, right? So I was reading up on you a bit and learning a little bit about I was like, oh my goodness, I meant to meet Michelle. It's funny how these things happen, right?
Yeah. And I was saying that I'm a yes woman. So anyone who reach out to me, I'm going to say yes to you no matter what.
See, I used to be, but for me, I was saying yes to things I didn't really want to do. So I stopped, but it's a different type of yes. But for me, I had to stop, and I'm sort of like, no, I need to do something that I feel my heart is in it too, right? So you kind of gotta, get your boundaries and priorities and everything. Michelle, I know that you speak a little bit about storytelling. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that you have a book, and your book sounds amazing. And I'd love to tell people how we can get it, and tell us a little bit about it, how it's about, what it's about. And yeah, just, tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about the book.
of course. So my book is called Perfectly Normal and Immigrant Stories of Making It in America. It's basically a memoir, an autobiography, where I talked about my journey. It starts when I was born in Taiwan in a very little, small, tiny village. And I remember the place I was born, it was the size of a regular American garage. So you basically put one king bed or queen bed, and you have your vanity furniture on the side, and that was it. That's where I was born. And growing up, it was just, like I said, it was just a very ordinary childhood, nothing special. And then I talked about how the accident had happened and what the journey after the accident, up until the point where I reached to the point of getting certified as a life coach. And back then, when I was still working at life coach, I almost felt like a lot of what I have written in the book, it was really a journey of how in my past life, I considered the point where I really step into my true power in being a coach and helping more people. It was a point of a new life, a new journey. So the book, I really consider it as a letter of completion, where I have written it. It was about my journey in the past and what are some of the things that were holding me back, and how did I come to a conclusion that, when you have love, you need to, the only way that we can give love is when we become love. And your being, your own true being, that heart-centered way of living your truth is going to inspire so many people around you, and they're going to see you as the leader. And the way that you lead is that you lead them so that they can become the leader in their own life. And so that's what the book is about, how I became a coach and all the journey beforehand. And so I love storytelling, because storytelling is really how we connect with each other. I remember I was a kid, I used to drag my mom every single day. Can you tell me a story? And then my mom would just tell me a lot of stories, and I learned through stories. There's always these morals and ethics, the way that we should be, the way that we are being as human. And that has been passing down from generation to generation through storytelling. I dated way back in the 800 BCs, and in the literature that's on the wall, and everything that we pass down, it's all about storytelling, and the storytelling connects people to people. And I think it's really important for us to know that you have a story too, and when you tell a story, that story is going to inspire or create a ripple effect to someone else's life. So if you've been telling yourself some negative stories, then how about let's stand back and tell yourself a different story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we have to believe in ourselves. If we don't believe in ourselves, we can't help others believe in themselves. We have to start with giving to ourselves, right? That's why what you were saying too, that's why I love books. I love movies, but I love books more, because with movies, you see it through the lens of the director, right? With books, you could read a book and I could read the same book. And because of our experiences, we read different things into it sometimes that we need to heal, especially memoirs. I released a memoir last 2021 as well. And it was so healing for me, and since then I've met so many people who have written their own, and, sending me books, and I'm purchasing these books, and just reading, it really gets that connection, builds that connection so much stronger to understand somebody. It's hard to put your feelings out there. It's hard to be honest. But then you get to a point where the more honest you are, the more healing happens. So I love memoirs. I honestly do. So congratulations on your book. I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you. I'm going to check out yours.
Oh, thank you. This is so great. I'm so proud of you. And it's just, you could have easily, your life could have easily been different. You could have easily believed perhaps some other people's opinions, or said, this is too hard, I can't do it. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us do that. And, I did that at some points in my life. And now I know different, but then I didn't. And I wish I had stretched myself a little bit more, and I think a lot of us that are, a lot of people that are listening sometimes maybe have faced that in their life, where I just can't go on. I just can't do this. I just can't do this. But as you learn to love yourself, I think you have to prove it to yourself, to really, like you're saying, elevate, to push yourself where you thought you would never go. And when I asked you about why you went by yourself, the reason I asked you is I find that a lot of people's journeys that really change who they are done in solace first, and then in community.
Yes. I think that's very true, because it's each one of us, and it kind of bring me back the memory of Joseph Campbell. He talked about the hero's journey, right? And in the book, he had mentioned that each one of us are heroes, and a hero has to be on that journey alone, on that hero's journey. So no one else can do it for you besides just you. And so it's a journey of the outward as well as the inward. So it's a journey that you're going to have to travel on your own, and just be curious and be brave. And I often say that, for people who's stuck in believing that there is no choice, or they don't know what to do, what direction to go, is this it, is this my life, and this is how it ends. So I always encourage people to think about, it's like flipping a coin. The coin has two sides. You're sitting here, you're probably wondering, okay, so which side do I go? What direction do I go? Once you flip it, all it takes is just that one little tiny step in flipping the coin. You're not going to know which side of the coin it's going to land. But the fact that you flip that coin, you're giving yourself an opportunity to see what might be different. And it's just that one single idea of that you have a choice in life. You can choose to believe that this is it, you're stuck, it's never ending, it's not going to go anywhere. Or you can choose to believe that there's a different outcome. If you just stick to it a little longer, that's all it takes. Just stick to 100
it feet. Longer. 100 feet, right?
100 feet, just a little longer, and just stay curious about what happened in the next 100 feet.
That's got to be the title of your next book, 100 feet. The Yes Girl goes 100 feet beyond.
That's a great book.
Yes Girl goes beyond 100 feet. It's like, I totally understand, because it's sort of like, there's two things that I say. Even though we need community, like we need each other, like you were saying, we need the shining of the stars. It does start with us. And so many times I say, nobody's coming to save you. I said that to myself. I said, nobody's coming to save you. Because I'm like, why aren't people coming to save me? If I'm miserable, if I'm in depression, why aren't people, am I so unlovable that nobody can see how much pain I'm in? That's how I used to think. And now it's like, no, nobody's coming to save me. I have to want this. Once I want it and I start to trust, like what you're saying, flip the coin, right? Just start to trust in something bigger. It all starts to fall into place. And then you're ready. You can get the help. You can reach for those people. But I think it does have to start with us, by ourselves.
Yeah. And which is why, I encourage people to think of yourself as the hero or the shero, right? We all have a shero or hero within us. And that's the person that's going to come out and save us. And so, yes, it was a very lonely journey, but in the end, you're going to find yourself that you are so much bigger and better. So I'm getting a little teary as we're talking about
this. Me too. I feel like I've already had a couple. I don't know if you can see.
Because it is a very lonely journey sometimes. But the truth is, you've done it. I've done it. There are other people who decided to stick around and just go for it. And so I'm not going to polish it and saying that, oh yeah, it's so easy, you can do this. No, that's not why we're here. The reason why we're here is because I know it gets hard. It's going to get hard before it gets easy. But if you just stick for another 100 feet and just be curious about what happened in the next 100 feet and just keep trusting and having that faith, right, within yourself that there's a shiro or hero and it's right there available to you. And there's always us. We can always help.
Yeah.
We got you.
We can't, yeah. And we can't see how far we've come if we don't have any darkness either. Like, I think we all have that. It's just a matter of, different things that happen to us. But yeah, things can get very dark and we all give up on ourselves sometimes. And those are the days that, sometimes we have to be kind to ourselves, and we need to feel that too. You need to feel the pain sometimes. You can't ignore it. On my journey, I ignored my pain for 12 years and brought me more pain and more problems. So that's not the way to do it either, but it's okay to allow yourself those days. We all have those days, but,
and you can always call us to have a pity party.
Yeah. But then don't stay there. That's the only thing, when I watched your video, I encourage everybody to watch it on YouTube, but when I watched it, I was so emotional. Because it wasn't the fact that you were climbing. I was thinking, what is she thinking? How does she feel? And I don't know. It just like, I was able to connect with it. And I'm like, wow, the push that she had to give herself, the pain that she's enduring. And that moment that you finished, that smile through the screen, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to meet her. It's just, you were just glowing, and everybody around you was so happy for you. And it was just like, oh, that's the feeling I want the world to have. No matter what it is that we do, the feeling, that happy smile, that you had, that's just beautiful.
Yeah. It was not easy.
How was the burger? Did you have the burger?
Yeah, for sure. I had a burger and a pizza. I had a burger and a pizza.
At the top of Machu, how did you find a burger up there?
So once you get into Machu Picchu, inside Machu Picchu, they have like restaurant, because there's two ways that you get to Machu Picchu, right? So some people travel by train, and I went the hard way. I was that point of proving myself wrong, right? So I decided to go through the hard way. I could have easily chose to ride on the train and just enjoy my burger once I hop off the train. But no, we decided to take the long way, the most difficult way.
Please tell me that you took the train away after. You did not walk back.
No, that part I did. I took the train. Well, I remember taking the train. It was an 8-hour train ride. It was the most beautiful thing. I'm so glad I did it. And right after the train ride, we head over to Amazon. So I stayed in a week in Amazon. Yeah.
Oh, I got to see those pictures sometime. That sounds beautiful. So what's next for you, Michelle?
Next would be my goal and dream is I want to be able to speak to more people. I believe that every single one of us can dream big and do more. And yes, life is difficult, life is challenging, but I'm hoping that I can bring my message out to more people. So I have this vision, this goal of I want to be able to stand in front of 1,000, 10,000 people where they get to hear my story. And I want to
see that happen. I got to see that happen.
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to invite people to come onto the stage and share their story. That's what I want.
I love that so much. That's fantastic. And I love that you have a podcast because, then you can share as well, right? And it's such a good way, I think, to connect with people as well, especially with COVID and everything. Sometimes you can't get out and, it's still able to give you that kind of human connection, I believe that you're going to get there because people need to hear that. I think, how do I say this? When we have struggles, it's really about being just human, and I think that we all, we all struggle, we struggle differently, but our pain is our pain. Like not one pain is bigger than another person's pain, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe the situation is more dire or whatever it is, but like I was speaking to somebody in Africa yesterday in Kenya, and the pain and the things that are going on there are nothing like what I'm experiencing here in Canada. Nothing. There is no comparison. But I also don't know what it's like to live there. So I have to be kind to myself and just say, okay, but my pain is also real.
Yeah.
You know, my depression, my all my struggles, it's still real for me. Um, you know, and I think that that's okay. I think we need to all be our best friends sometimes, you know, and believe, and sometimes trusting in something that we maybe don't even trust completely,
Yeah.
right? Like flip the coin, like you said.
Yeah. And knowing there's always help, right? I think that's also important, just allowing ourselves and asking for help. I think one of the things that I was struggling with is I didn't want to be seen different, and I don't want to feel judged. So a lot of time, even if I do need help, for example, going to a grocery, reaching up stuff on the shelf, I hesitate to ask because I don't want people to look at me differently. So I don't ask. And the reality is, you know, we create the boundary for ourselves. So if you're going to build your wall high by, you know, not asking for help when you need it, then there's no one's going to be able to cross that wall. No one's going to be able to cross that boundary. So I think it's also important to not only to give ourselves the grace of, yes, you know, it can be hard and you're going to reserve yourself to protect yourself, but also give other people an opportunity to cross that wall so that they can help you. And when you let your guard down, when you let your wall down, you're gonna see how much people around you are dying to give you the love that you deserve.
Yeah, because sometimes we put up the biggest walls, right?
Yeah.
And if you are that person that sees that somebody needs some help and you're the one at the grocery store, you know, maybe just ask instead of like, do you hate when people just automatically assume you need help?
I used to take it very personal. Now I said, yes, I actually appreciate you. Oh, thank you. Or I let people open the door for me nowadays. I will wait. Yeah, I used to be very strong and open my own door. And nowadays I actually wait until they catch up, and they're more than happy to open the door for me. If I give them a chance, right? Give people a chance to show their love for you.
Yeah. Otherwise you could just grow up angry.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And yeah, that's a good lesson, you know, because sometimes people don't know how to act, or why they think they have to act differently when there's people around them that are different than them.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why that is, but maybe they don't want to offend you, or maybe they don't want to ask because it's the wrong thing. Sometimes people don't know what the right thing is. You know, they could be thinking, okay, that girl looks like she needs help. Should I ask? Should I just do it? Should I pretend I don't see her? Like, there's just so many. It's true, right?
There's a lot of like, yeah, we tell a lot of stories to ourselves.
Yes. Even the person who wants to help tells stories to that. What are they going to get mad? Are they going to, you know? And sometimes just ask, you know, do you need help? And we're hoping that you're going to be honest, yes or no, right? And the more secure you are in yourself, that you don't judge yourself for what you can and cannot do, then you're going to be like, yeah, open the door for me, dude. Like, I need to, you know, I'm tired. Like, just open.
I've actually done it in the past where, you know, the guy is like standing behind me. I'm like, so are you going to get the door for me? And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get the door. I'm not sure if you want me to get the door, but I will wait and say, are you going to get the door for me? Like, and you don't go out of the way to take advantage of people. No. But when it is time, when it is appropriate, just express it. And I think this is something that we can all learn, is just to express your feeling. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to you know, feel that you need help. It's okay for all of that, because you're human and it's perfectly normal to feel that way. We all do. So it doesn't make you any you know, different than us. It just makes you part of it. It's that sense of belonging.
Because, you know, some of us have our disabilities on the outside and some on the inside.
Yeah.
You know, like the only difference between me and you is that I could see yours, perhaps, and you can't see mine. But it makes, sometimes it's worse because you hide it, you know, and you're able to hide it easier. So there's just so many things to learn, so many things. So yeah, if you're listening out there and you're curious about people, ask, don't stare, don't assume, watch the way that you say things, how you say things, you know, because you don't know. The person that you're curious about may be the one person in life who really makes you love yourself. You don't know what that person's going to do for you. You don't know what that connection is going to bring to your life, how inspiring it can be, or maybe they need your help. You know, you just don't know, right? Yeah. Don't assume.
Yep, exactly. We all know what happened when we assume.
Yes. So how can we connect with you, Michelle? If people want to work with you, where can we find you?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is through my website. It's at elevatelifecoaching.org. Or if people want to find me on social media, I'm really very active on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you type in my name, Michelle Kuei, it's going to come up everywhere.
And YouTube, check out her YouTube video and her book.
Yep, and my book. So best way is just go to my website. Yeah.
Oh, and her podcast. Oh my goodness, she's such a busy woman. And her podcast.
I'm a yes woman.
Yes, and I want to see that next book, The Yes Woman Beyond 100 Steps. Okay, so
you got it on the podcast. So I can't say no now.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe or leave a review. See you next week on the Giving Starts With You podcast.